Hello, amateurs. Welcome to another episode of the Amateur Rugby Podcast, here to help soothe your Sunday morning hangover with some wonderful rugby chat about the grassroots of the game. I'm your host, Tim, and I've got another fantastic guest for you today. This man was in the Sail Sharks Academy. He's now an RFU Council member, and he started his own rugby academy. Please welcome Mr. Josh Jones. Josh,
hello.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Hi, Tim. How are we?
Very well. Welcome to the show. It's going to be great to dig into everything you're doing up there. But let's rewind the clock a little bit to start off with. What's your origin story? How did you get into the game?
Origin story. My villain story. How did it all happen? Well, I wasn't bit by a radioactive spider, so it didn't happen that way. I've always been associated with rugby. As the same reason that you're doing the podcast, it's the best game in the world, as people would say. I actually came from a rugby league background. Starting my career, as they want to say, under 10s, local rugby club, which was rugby league, not rugby union, at Newton Storm. And then from there, it's just kind of snowballed into an amazing different opportunities, amazing opportunities. And it's kind of just, sometimes it's a pinch me moment where I'm at now. And from there, came through like the service area and scholarship pathway through rugby league. And then I thought, do you know what? Let's go to the dark side and give it a go. And did a few years at my home club, so around the corner, League Rugby Union, which I'll probably go into a little bit more detail later on about them helping me set up the business and helping me start my career and my day-to-day job, which is, not a lot of people can say that. And then, like you said, you just referenced it, got the opportunity to go through, county first, so Lancashire. That's me at my county. I'm proud to be from Lancashire. I wear a Lancashire ring every day. I'm proud to be from Lancashire, up in the north. And then I got the opportunity to play for Sale, and then moved on very quickly into prestigious school, Kirkham Grammar School, which was amazing. And now to this day, I'm playing at Preston Grasshoppers, signed there in the National 2 League, which I'll probably go into a little bit more detail later on, about kind of my conflicts between playing and coaching and the rugby world, because I've got that many opportunities, loads of things in different pies, where it's having to kind of balance that at the moment between playing and coaching and the business. So, but really, in a nutshell, it's just rugby every single day as I go in, when I go into schools, and I say to everyone, I get rugbyed out very easily, but I wouldn't do anything else. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Amazing. We are going to dig into a whole load of detail through that story there. The first thing I want to know is, how would you rate having a rugby league background? How did that help you coming into rugby union?
Great question. I actually get asked this quite a lot, and I think it's more that physicality side. With rugby league, it is more of your first hit and your first kind of contact and going into the tackle kind of process. But for me, it gave me that little bit more resilience. We start contact earlier at rugby league than rugby union, so I kind of, when I moved over to rugby union, it wasn't a massive difference, but you can definitely tell the difference between a rugby league area or rugby league club compared to a rugby union club in a rugby league area than a rugby union club just in that area, because it's more physicality. I'd probably say a different mindset. I don't know if that's good, that's positive or negative. There's definitely both, but you can definitely tell the difference between the players' mentality, physicality. Sometimes you get more characters on a pitch, that kind of thing. But coming into a rugby union setting, like I said, I started at rugby league. My skill wise, I think the more focused on your skills, you're more you catch pass, moving the ball, than probably rugby union in the earlier stages. And then once it gets to that contact element at your under 9s and where you're trying to push that in, it's kind of like, oh, we need to do all this tackling and the ruck. Whereas rugby league's like, no, let's pass in, let's move this ball about kind of thing. So I'd probably say I've always, as a player, I'm a second row, back row. I've always wanted to offload. I've always wanted to have ball in hand. I've always been more of an attacking player than a defensive player. So probably that attribute has always helped me, especially in my position, because you don't see many second row, back rows trying to flick the ball out the back like I try and do. Doesn't come off all the time, but once it does come off, maybe every 4 games, then everyone thinks, "Oh my God, it's Sonny Bill Williams over there." But no, it's never the case. But I've always wanted to be that kind of player. As a centre in rugby league, I'm trying to look for the offload, and coming into rugby union, it's just been like I've just wanted to kind of keep going with that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So when you flipped over into union initially, you were like battering kids, basically, yeah.
Well, actually, at my local club, we didn't have, so I had to play down here because they didn't have my own age. So I got dispensation to play down, and I think I was only allowed to do 2 games. And then they went, "No, you need to go play up." So then I went and played up then for the rest up until Colts, and then moving on to Kirkham. So yeah, I've always tried to push myself to play that highest level as possible where I could play at. So I've always played up, apart from them 2 games where maybe some of the coaches weren't very happy that I was maybe a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger than everyone else. And then they went, "No, you need to go to the next age group. No, we can't have you," kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay, let's talk about Kirkham Grammar because from my experience in rugby, I've heard that name many, many times. Very famous school. What was it like to go there and represent that famous rugby school?
Yeah, probably one of the highlights of my probably playing career was going there. Unfortunately, well, as I was going, which I'll probably allude to later on, I got quite a nasty injury with my knee, which kept me out for quite a long time, for a good 12 to 14 months. It was 12 months to the day when I was actually back up and running, which I'll go through later on. But to be in that kind of setting, I say this to everyone when people go, "Oh, you got a scholarship to go to Kirkham." I'm a very generic lad. I'm from the north. When people say, "Where are you from?" I like to say I'm more from Warrington than I am from Wigan, but the postcode's Wigan. My council's Wigan, Warrington postcode. So I come from a very normal background. It's always been me and my mum. My dad left when he was younger, so for me, it was always like a small fish in a big pond kind of thing. So, but once I was in that situation, in that environment, and the people I got to meet, and the coaching and the opportunities it's given me from that, it's like I said before, it's like a pinch me moment. And you go, how is a normal lad from a two bedroom terrace at Kirkham Grammar School with all these very well off people, but the environment, the training every day. Some of the players, we had players from Sale Academy, we had lads come from Northampton Saints, we had South African players coming over every other term, playing from like Queen Eckelsburg to Queen Elizabeth to Grays College, and you're like, these are like players who are going to go and play probably in the future the World Cup, and you're like, wow, some of the standards around it was amazing. In my year, we've got Dan Kelly at Kirkham, so he's at Leicester Tigers now. Who else is there? We've got most of everyone's playing either Nat 1 or higher. And in the age above, we had players like Sam Dugdale, who plays for Sale Sharks now. And it's just like, wow, to be associated and playing or even just training with players like that, like I say, it's a pinch me moment. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. We're going to talk more about the rugby in a moment, but I want to know, how proud was your mum?
Amazing. Yeah, she was. When we went round for like the first walk around, it was like when you walk to the front and you go, it's a beautiful building, and you go, how have you done this kind of thing? Because I did get offered a few other schools to go to and other places, but then it just kind of fit in. And I just thought, no, this is where I wanted to go. There was a store when I did my walk round. I'm not going to say who it is, but as I walked into one of the rooms, there was a lad just stood on top of what's it called, like a wardrobe, pretending to do the hacker on top of a wardrobe, and I just thought, no, this is the place I need to be. We went round other schools, and they were all very uptight, very in scarves and blazing, and really like a bit professional. I was like, no, that was the selling point for me. And she actually walked in, and she just was like, yeah, this is your place. And I was like, yeah, that'll do for me. I'll come here. But yeah, she was really proud. My mum is involved with my business as well, and I'm very lucky to have a relationship with her where she works for the business, and we're all trying to achieve both the same thing of, trying to grow rugby. But yeah, she's one of my best friends, so I have to say that.
Oh,
and she'd be happy I said that as well.
I'm sure. Okay, let's get into the rugby. Talk to me about your development as a rugby player in that environment at Kirkham Grammar School. How quickly did you progress?
Yeah, I progressed quite quickly. As I said, in that first year when I had my knee injury, I had to kind of like strip it all back to basics when I came back. So I was slightly behind of where I should be. So I was at Sales Sharks up until 17s, from the 16s year going on to Kirkham, and they helped with that and got me there. And they said that was probably the best case scenario for me to go to there. And then unfortunately, I did do my knee in one of the pre-season games, and it was a bit gutting. But when I came back, it was more not a development thing in terms of my playing ability, because I got it back to where I was before the surgery and before my knee. But for me, it was more of a mental development. I matured, being around them type of people, where everyone's got the same aspirations of either going far in the rugby world or going far just in life, and they've got that drive to do that. And then I kind of more focused on my academics as well while I was there, and I thought actually I wanted to go down that route, because I was actually going to go study law at uni, and then I decided not to, and then like trying to find my place. And for me, it was more of a mental development of maturing and going, actually I'm not going to go as far as I think I can in rugby. So that's what gave me that kind of thing. And if it weren't for Kirkham, I probably wouldn't have done what I'm doing now. It's given me that kind of backup and going, and like a holistic mindset, and going, I've got other opportunities, other paths that I can focus on. But in terms of playing ability and coming back, I found quickly that the game's a lot faster. Your decision making needs to be a lot more clinical, and from that, then once you're around them type of players who can give you that information on the pitch, you just straight away click and you go, right, you can see the picture a lot better. So probably the decision making and going, right, this is the correct line to hit, or I need to tip there, or the line outs, or the marking at the front, and small things that are very probably basics to most coaches, but it's invaluable for any kind of player to just get them basics, and you'd be good at them basics and progress on that way.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so what age were you when you started playing rugby union, and then what age were you when you got accepted into the Sale Sharks Academy?
So I started playing rugby union when I was 13. So quite later on, I played under 13s, and then it was I did DPP, which is the development play pathway. Then it was slightly different. Then it was out of still kind of mixed in with the county as it was more regions, not regions, what are they called? Districts. There you go. So it was districts. So I was out of Greater Manchester, and there was a Lancashire one, and there was different ones, but it weren't county itself. And then I did county. And then 16s, then I went to Sale as the 16s year, and then played up as well into the 17s towards the end of the year. And then that was then the time I moved on to Kirkham then.
Yeah, see, that's a big jump. It's a lot of learning to do about rugby union in a really short space of time. Did you feel like that at the time?
No, I was just going week by week and hoping for the best, really. Just catch me the ball, I'll do something. To be honest, I learned it quite quick. Most of my family actually is more rugby union than rugby league. So there's a great story. When I was about 10, it was when I first started rugby league, and my granddad, who supported me all the way through, he's helped me. He helped me get to Kirkham, and he's done a lot for me. I remember a time where he got me a shirt, and it had like the Lancashire, like that shirt there, and it was like an old school like top, but it didn't have the Lancashire logo or anything. And he just went, "I've got you this because it'll be the only kind of Lancashire top you'll be able to wear because you play rugby league." So it's always been, all my family's played for rugby union. My uncle's played for North of England and played England counties, and he's played to like Nat 2 standard as well. And then it was just, I don't know why, it was one day. I actually had this conversation with one of my coach mentors. I don't know if you remember the 2011 World Cup game. And on like PlayStation, it was on PlayStation.
Oh, right. Yes,
yeah.
Okay.
Like the video game, and it was me playing that, and this would have been like a few years old, and I just kept on playing that with PS3 and thinking it's good, this game, and that was the reason why I joined rugby union. I was like, I'll just give it a go. So that's definitely something anyway. And I remember my granddad walking in one day while I was playing it, and he was going, "You play rugby league, but you're playing that on there. Why don't you go give rugby union a go?" And that was the kind of the reason why I went. But yeah, it took a lot of progression. Because I played up as well, it meant I could adapt quickly and learn more. So I had to learn more to be able to keep up with them. And then when it got to under 14s, under 15s, then I just kind of was soaring. I've always been quite good in the line-out, so that's why I've always been used in a line-out. So straight away, it was kind of more just learning the bread and butter of that and then kind of jumping in. And actually, I got it at the right time because line-outs weren't implemented as I walked in. So it was new for everyone. So at least I had a core skill I knew I could tick off compared to everyone else.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that PlayStation story. That is absolutely magic.
Still play it to this day. You just wish wish there would be another one, which would be actually half decent. But anyway, that's another conversation for another time.
Okay, then let's get into the Sail Sharks Academy stuff a little bit more. How do they run their academy? What are the who are the key people in there, and how did they help your development?
So really good question. When I first came in, I came in halfway through the season, and it's very similar to how the RFU kind of operates in terms of it's all game-based stuff, and they just want playing games and them core skills. I actually do I took a little bit of a step back because of other responsibilities with the DPP, so the under 14s and 15s pathway out of Manchester. Sorry. So I kind of see from both angles about what they're looking for, and it was more of from the county games. They selected lads to come in, and they already had kind of pre-existing players. So, for example, in my age group, we had Tom Roebuck, Rafi Quirk. Dan was still at Sale as well. So we had quite a good, decent amount of players, and it would just be a couple of training sessions a week. Focus on the gym and the fundamentals of what you should be doing in the gym. We have people in doing diet, hydration, and it's more giving this is what rugby players are supposed to do instead of let's watch you play rugby. And we did a lot of analysis of the game. So I played against Connaught in the under 17s, and the next training session we just watched back the game and just watch back and identify things we could improve on. And that was more what it was then. For my age group, there was only 3 players who got contracts to go through to the senior squad, which were James Harper, Tom Roebuck and Rafi. Tom Curtis as well. So I think there might be a few more there, but there wasn't many. Now they're looking to take more lads through to try and help them progress them. But that's just because the way the game's going. To try and get more players in different positions and to make sure that they're covered. But back then it was quite a basic framework, but it was quite effective. And like I said, they helped with my education. They got me to Kirkham. I was never going to go on to play higher. I knew that I wasn't a player who even with my ability, I don't think I was ever going to go and play Prem. I still don't think to this day, but what they helped me with was to set me up with an education to get me with the right contacts. And now, it's quite a nice circle, really. So I coach the England Lambs, which is the England Schools pathway. So I'm the not England Schools pathway. Sorry, it basically works as England Schools. So it's all independent schools who are rugby pathways or rugby programs. Players who are not involved with academies or players who have been released from academies, or players who are not involved in the county setup, they can come trial for us. And we play against all the different academies. So we just played against Jamaica last weekend, which was really cool. Our under-18s would beat them. This weekend we've got Coventry, and in a few weeks' time we've got Sale. They're under-17s. And I'm one of the head coaches, so we share it as a lead for each region. we're playing against them, and their coach is who used to coach me. So it's quite a nice circle. So it'll be, well, I'm hoping it'll be Noel. So it's a nice circle of how, yes, I haven't progressed in that path, but it's all come back, full circle of me doing something else and it coming back to that anyway and being associated and being involved with it. So yeah, probably more thing. I've really gone off tangent about what the question was, but it was more the education around rugby and other aspects of the game, not just right, you go in tackling each other for 45 minutes and let's just have a look at you who we want. It was more, we care about these players, let's push them on to bigger and better things. And I think that's really refreshing, because there's been loads of stories where, especially in football and rugby league to a certain extent, where lads just haven't made the cut and right, see you later, bye. For me, yes, I didn't progress on, but they gave me my education. They helped me with my education. They gave me some great input about hydration, nutrition, and the contacts that if I rang one of them now, they would answer the phone and go, "Is everything all right?" And they're just friends in the rugby world.
That sounds amazing, like a real sort of holistic approach to the athlete. Yeah, you didn't go on and make it, but tell me about how you feel about the guys that did, like Tom Roebuck and Rafi, who are now in the England squad.
It's amazing to see. So, like, I've seen Dan a couple of times away from back from Kirkham, and then Rafi as well. I see them in passing, and it's just great to see lads from. I look at more from Lancashire, so lads from Lancashire in our county going on to play for England. It's mad. Rafi was by far one of the best players I've ever played with. I played under 15s county up to the Sale, and even like my family and people watching on the sideline go, yeah, he's something special. And you could just tell straight away. Just to see that and go, like, I went down to Twickenham a few weeks ago. I went to the England, New Zealand, and then the England, Japan with an RFU project. And you got Tom Roebuck stood on the wing, and you go going, I've passed the ball to that guy. Do you know what I mean? It's quite cool to think of that. So they deserved it. They're fantastic players, and all it does is make the sport better, because at the end of the day, these are young lads from, backgrounds like me from round here, and it's like, wow, amazing. We've got another lad as well who's at Sale to me. He's a Lee lad as well, and it's just to have players go through and the pathway works, and you see him and you go, there's going to be players in the future who are going to do the same thing, and they're just aspiring young players. So that's what you want at the end of the day. Yeah,
for sure. Now, tell me a little bit more about this coaching thing that you're doing with the thing that you just mentioned about all the players who aren't in academies and stuff like that you now coach. So is that kind of just a function to kind of pick up all the guys that have got potential that haven't got a route to the top just yet?
Basically, yeah. So it's been round. I'm probably going to get a message from James or one of the chairmen saying I maybe butchered it wrong, but Lambs has been round since 2006. It's been a pathway for many years, and the whole premise of it is lads who are not involved in academy or county, they get selected for the schools to be to trial for us. So we've got North and Midlands, which we're grouped together, South East and then South West, and then the schools nominate them. We did a development day the other week. It was actually a bit of a shame because it was snowing and because of the weather. So we had to think on our feet. We had a pitch booked at Lee and we had to change it slightly. And then I had an AGP an artificial pitch booked. That was cancelled because it was frozen over. So I had to find my best thing and my best idea was a horse indoor equestrian centre. It worked. It was like the size of a half a rugby pitch. It worked, not for the amount of players we had, but we got a squad together and then we went down to Chairman's Day, which is at Harrow, down south. And everyone's played against each other, and then we select a squad of 45. But this year our fixtures are quite stacked. We've got quite a decent amount of fixtures. So we played against Jamaica under 18s on the weekend. We've got Coventry this weekend. We've got Bath, like as a development squad. Bath under 17s again. We've got, I want to say, Exeter, Sale Sharks, and then we're hoping to do a North of England game as well. We're just looking to try and book that in. And then we've got a Boys Club of Wales, which is a very similar thing to what Lambs is, but over in Wales. and then Irish IQ, which is the Irish pathway things, is to play against their under 18s as well. So it's a good program, really good fixtures for lads who have not had that opportunity, or like you said, who've just gone under the radar. They might have progressed a little bit later. They might have always been on the wing, but actually they're a second row and they've never been put in the right position. And it's just the timing, because we're looking normally for DPP and academies, 14s, 15s, 16s, possibly 17s, and then it's kind of a little bit missed out. And you've got your county pathway, which is perfect as well, because then we keep the core lads from the county, but then they just play against other counties, and there's never really anyone there to maybe pick them up, unless that they're a National League club and maybe like bring them in from that. But that's about it really. So with ours, it's we're not an academy, but we play against other academies, and it's a good pathway. And we've had players go on to play higher. We've had players go on to play championship, and some really established schools. Like we've got a lad from Millfield this year, quite a few from Harrow, Felsted, St Peter's, York. We've got quite a good spread of good schools that maybe lads who just haven't had that opportunity. And we play in really bright pink kit, which is always a winner. So it's really bright, probably hurts your eyes after a while, but it's always been the tradition, and we do it a little bit different. The numbers, we don't go 1 to 15 or 1 to 25 or whatever the squad is. We go down from 99. So right. It's really, really different, and that's the point. It's supposed to be different. It's supposed to be fun, and the philosophy is fast and free. So we call it #FastandFree, and it's all off the cuff. We don't kick, we don't box kick, we don't maul. We play all ball in hand to throw the ball around, and it's brilliant to watch. It's really, really good to watch, and that's probably gave me a really good philosophy of coaching. Is just rugby's supposed to be fun, just get the ball around. We go jouer, throw the ball around. That's what it should be about. But yeah, it's brilliant, really good pathway, and I'm proud to be involved with it anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to be looking up those fixture lists and seeing if I'm anywhere near any of them. And if I am, then I'm going to come and watch, because that sounds like thoroughly entertaining rugby.
It's really good, really, really good. As I say, jouer, throw the ball around. I actually played on Sunday for the Lambs Old Boys. So we had the 18s and the it was under 23s. I'm 24, so we're just bending it slightly, but it was like an old boys game. We played against Jamaica, like their national squad. So for me, it's like I'm playing against an international side, and some of them players were huge. But yeah, it was really good. And we were throwing the ball around. I've got a video highlight of me doing a little flick out the back, and I'm like, it came off, and I was like, oh, it didn't come off. It's Lambs Rugby. Oh well, but you can't even kick from your own 22s. You have to attack from everywhere. It's mental, but it's good because it pays off, and we'll beat we can beat teams 60 odd, 50, but we'll throw the ball around and we'll entertain, and that's kind of the philosophy around it. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, and I mean that's a really good fixture list as well. There's some prestigious names in there. So yeah. Players playing, they must feel like really sort of valued in that respect.
Yeah, that's kind of the input that we always get. Is the players, they buy into it quickly, because one, we try and do it as more player led, and it's for the players. So we give them the best opportunity possible to play in them fixtures, and then we go on tour as well. So this year it's Namibia and South Africa. So we're going over there. So like I didn't go last year, but the year before, that we're playing against Pal Boys and some of the really big South African names. Last year I think they played against Namibia national and under 18s kind of thing, or under 20s. So they're playing against national sides. There's been past old boys who I'm really good mates with, and just learned. We used to be a sevens team as well before it kind of. We used to be on the Super Sevens, but it's folded a little bit now, but it's coming back. And I've learned. I spoke to them, and like they played against Italy under 18s when they went over, Croatia under 20s, and it's like they just go. It's mad to think that these players who have just not had the opportunity could turn around and say they've played against international teams and national teams. So it's a good buy-in, and the lads are happy. It's a lot of work, but to see the rugby pay off and throwing the ball around, it's class. It's really good.
That sounds incredibly rewarding and a really good thing. Let's go back to you a bit more though, Josh. Tell me, because I know that one knee injury you had wasn't the only one. So tell me a little bit more about your injuries.
Yeah, I've been very unlucky. I know the cliche is, oh, I could have made it if it weren't for my knee. And then when people say, oh, what was your injury? Oh no, it was my knee. They go, oh yeah, that old chestnut. I unfortunately, it was in pre-season, and I dislocated my kneecap, and it popped out, and I watched it pop out. But normally when it pops out, it goes to the right side. This time it went to the left, and unfortunately I snapped. Let me work this one out. MCL, LCL, ACL, meniscus, and then I tore. There was something else that tore, and then my kneecap as well wouldn't move back, so it got put back in. Probably the worst pain I've ever been in. It was awful, and I did it by sidestepping. That's why you shouldn't sidestep as a second row, back row. But I still do it to this day. And yeah, it was awful. It was really bad. And luckily, because I was at Kirkham and Sale as well, it was pushed through for me to go to Aspire. So I had my surgery, and I was really lucky that I had a surgeon called Mr. Lavender, because you can never forget that name. It's a great name. And when he did all the tests and I had my MRI, and he came back to me and he said, that's one of the worst knees I've ever seen. And this is a guy who does professional rugby players, professional footballers. He said, that's really bad. And I remember we were sat in the room, me and my mum, and it was actually the matron from Kirkham, because she dropped me off there and took me there, and my mum met me there. And he turned around and he said, I highly doubt you'll be able to play rugby again. And hearing that at 16, going on 17, it's crumbling. And then he was like, you might not be able to run and change direction properly. He said it looks quite serious, really bad. So they used my hamstring as a graft, and luckily 12 months to the day I jogged across a rugby pitch for the first time, but I had to go back to full basics because all the muscle deteriorated. I really struggled. It kept on sliding, and it wasn't painful, but it just was really uncomfortable. And luckily I came back, and then a couple of years ago I've had to have it redone again, and I've had to have all my meniscus repaired again. It's just been the bane of my life, really. It doesn't feel great. I've got 2 screws from my kneecap. When it's cold, I feel the cold on it, and it's achy. But everyone's got their injuries. In rugby, you never go. Same as you could play netball and you could do it. You could walk down the street, and same again. It could happen. You could step over something and twist. It could happen to anyone. But yeah, when he turned around and said that I would never be able to play again, I thought, well, this is it. This is my life now. Done. I need to find something else. But luckily, I've come back stronger. Still have issues with it, but you have to get on with it, really, don't you? And I could sit here and play the little violin, which I actually have got a little violin somewhere, because I always like to get it out for a joke. But yeah, it's not a great thing, because your knee is important, and you feel like when you're walking around, and yeah, a little bit sore. But luckily, touch wood, it's been okay ever since. And then I've had the standard ones, dislocated fingers and broken noses. Yeah, you have them, but they're only minor ones. They're just war wounds. Everyone likes them ones.
Yeah, okay, but you are still playing, which is wonderful. And
Yeah.
for Preston Grasshoppers, which is a wonderfully historic club, tell me a little bit about the club and how you fit in there.
Yeah, I've been there 3 years. I came in. I went back to a little bit for Rugby League for probably a couple of months, and then I came back to rugby union to play Lancs 20s, and then from there, then I just stuck it out for rugby union. And it was actually went back to my home club, and then I got a message off one of my old teachers from Kirkham, who said about coming to Preston, and they needed a second row, back row. So I came in, and probably was a little bit naive, thinking, oh yeah, I'll be fine. It's a tough league. I've had about 30 just under 30 appearances, take away a bit when I had to have my surgery again. So for a 24-year-old, I'm not doing too bad for National League appearances. But then it's tough to stick it out because it's classed as semi-pro if you want to do that. So it's hard training sessions, and then I did have a little bit of a wobble a few months back, thinking, oh, I might just pack in with rugby completely. And then I actually went on loan to Blackburn for a few weeks, and really enjoyed my time there. And then I've come back to Preston now. So actually, it was my first game back last week, going back to Preston, just to play twos, and I'm happy to do that for the time being. And then hopefully in the future push back on with other responsibilities. It's difficult because, like I said at the start, it's rugby 24/7, and you just go, oh, rugby again tonight, rugby coaching tomorrow, rugby, and people don't understand that, but it does take its toll. It really does take its toll, especially when your hobby becomes your business and merges together. But it's a really historic club. We've had Alex Key, who was Durham's coach, who took him on to numerous national championships. He was there for a couple of years, and now our head coach is Dan Orwin. Who's a fantastic coach as well. I'm just happy to be back and just kind of playing rugby with my mates. But because I've been there for 3 years, I'm just happy to have that socialisation. The club's great. We're in a good place as well. We're 5 off bottom of National League 2, so we should be all right for the season. But I'm just happy just to be playing twos at the moment and get back to loving the sport and just enjoying it. And then if my opportunity comes back, then I kind of push on again. But I'm only young in my position, as everyone keeps saying, 24, and I've still got a lot of years left if my knee takes it.
For sure, absolutely. But okay, so tell me, what was it about the little loan stint at Blackburn that you really enjoyed?
It was just a change up. I just wanted to see what other opportunities were there, and I have to credit Dino and Dave and Greg. It was just I needed a bit of a shake up really, and just go and see if the grass is greener elsewhere, and see if I love me rugby there. And then I really enjoyed it. The lads were absolutely fantastic. We went on a few losses, but the lads were really, really good, and I just enjoyed just having a little bit of banter with the lads and pushing on. And but then I just wanted to just play socially, and same again. It's competitive. It's still a good league. But I just wanted to play with my mates really at the end of the day. But yeah, I enjoyed my stint there. It was really good.
Yeah, that seems like a really sort of mature approach to it as well, because potentially people drop out of the game because they're just like, oh, it's not really working at this club. But there's lots of different clubs out there, all with different sort of personalities and different levels and different, ideas about how to go about the training week, the game itself, and socially. So if you're not enjoying it at one club, why not go and try it at another?
Yeah, that was it. And I'm glad I did. And all the lads have messaged me and just said, thank you very much for coming in, and trying to help and be a part of the team. I think for me though, it was just I needed to find my love for the sport again, and I thought that would fix it there. And then I think I've really, like you said, I've tried to be mature about it, and in my mindset, I think it's not me not loving the sport. I think I'm always going to have maybe this little bit of resentment, maybe because it's 24 hours is rugby for me. I think it was more the socialising and just I just want to be with my mates and see them on a Tuesday, Thursday, have a drink with them and have that relationship again and seeing them every week as well, because I was there for a couple of months, and for me it was just like, I miss my mates back at my club.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. Let's take a sharp left turn. I'm not quite sure where to fit this into what we're doing here today, but you are an RFU council member. So how did that come about?
So I'm on the NYC, which is the National Youth Council for the RFU. So with the RFU Council, we sit as like a subcategory for about youth and trying to get more young people involved with the sport. And then I sit on my subcommittees, age grade and education. And it was just really the form came out about trying to apply for it, and I thought, it would be really good as a young person who's actively involved with the sport. I wanted to try and make a difference and be involved in some positivity within the RFU. And that was it really. And then I did my interview, then got involved with that, and I've been to an RFU council, which was really good and really engaging to see how they do it and kind of how they go about it. But it's more just getting more young people involved with the sport. So our thing at the moment within the NYC is trying to get not subcommittees, getting youth councils built up within counties and CBs, so constituent bodies. So, for example, we've started one up in Lancashire to have a young council, because there's this stereotype within rugby, probably all across, that everyone is old, sat on the board and stuck in the ways. So we are trying to tackle that and have a different mindset to it, and having young people in. So, for example, we've got 7 members on our Lancashire Youth Council, which I've set up on behalf of the NYC. One of them is actually Gareth, who came in before, who works who works for Try It as well, and we've got Dan as well, who's a community rugby coach. So everyone is actively already involved with rugby, and we do projects that highlight positives within our county. And now we're looking to push that out up and down the country with different, with the NYC members, pushing that out to different counties to try and get more young people involved with the CBs. So it's quite a weird kind of minefield, but it's just about getting more young people involved with the sport, and not just playing, not just refereeing, but actually trying to make the sport better, which is good. It's positive, which we like.
Definitely. Firstly, well done for doing that. I completely agree. We definitely need more young people in the sort of driving seat of the game. What have you come up against any kind of resistance towards that? Have you had any issues, or has it been quite good so far?
With which bit? So from the county, or
just setting up the youth council within Lancashire, kind of thing.
Right. I'm very fortunate that with the business that we've got a partnership with the county. So it was quite a lot of the time it's, oh yeah, that sounds good, let's go with it, because most of the projects we've already done through the business and other different things, they've worked, so they've been like, let's give it a go. I do know that there's been a lot of people up and down the country trying to do this, and I have spoke to a few other CVs and counties that don't see the point in it, which they're being a little bit blind to it. It's needed. We can't just be outdated and keep sticking to the same principles of what worked 30, 40 years ago, because we're in a completely different time. So I've had a little bit of pushback, not from my own county, from different counties, but I think it's just they're scared for change, which is not the word. It's not a bad thing, because they show that they care. And I think it's just kind of breaking down that barrier and going, and kind of like we're piloting it in our county and going, look at all the great, amazing things we've done already. So we've done something called a Rugby United drop. So we've got a project with the RFU called Rugby United, and it's about getting more South Asian and the BAME minority in certain areas, getting more engagement with rugby. So we talk with with our committee and our council. We went into the middle of Bolton, which is quite high in that geographical area, and we handed out free rugby balls for the day. So we handed out over 200 rugby balls in the area. They see that and they go, that's brilliant. And then, because it's something they can actually see, social media presence, we had over 36,000 views on that engagement, on our Instagram, because we did, we called it Lancashire in its roots. So we did a video all about a rugby club, about what they're doing well, and that was Bolton as well. So we did it on the back of that. We've done one at Widnes, and we've picked a few more rugby clubs to go. It's not all doom and gloom. Yeah, we might have a club that's, they might be losing players left, right, and centre, and yeah, it's not great, but I think, and then not small things, but big things in the RFU and the country about concussion and the tackle height and all different things and all the politics around it. Maybe rugby being behind a paywall and all this kind of thing, but just take a step back and go, right, yes, that is happening, but what can we do? These are the positive things we can show you that are happening in these rugby clubs. We've got Littleborough that's starting up a mixed ability team. We've got Bolton with a mixed ability team. But Littleborough have got a Century Room. We've got Sedgley, who are in Lancashire, playing Nat 1, where we're based as the business, and they're doing the flying in Nat 1. So we should be highlighting these great clubs that with great people and not being all about doom and gloom all the time. And that's what we're trying to change people's mindsets on. It's difficult, but the people who get it can see the benefits, and hopefully they'll reap the rewards in the future of going, rugby's in a better place.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I mean, it's clear with your attitude and your positivity there that you're driving that, and it's infectious, to be honest. Like, I'm just getting me excited about the game again, just talking to you about it. Okay, let's get on to the next thing now, which is the Rugby Academy that you've set up.
Yes.
Nice crowd there on your chest.
Get the branding. There you go. Got
that. Everything. Tell me a bit about it. How did the idea come about, and when did it get started?
Yeah. So this is our 5th year. I'm very fortunate. I'm a young entrepreneur, and it came with my home club, Lee. So when I finished at Kirkham, and I came back home, I was a little bit in a rut, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I deferred for a year. I was going to go do law. I was going to go do psychology, criminology. I just didn't know what I was going to do. Then I was playing rugby, and the chairman at the time, Andy Caboas, I owe a lot to him. He's actually come back to the club now, which I'm really happy with because I get to see him, because he took a step back for a bit of time. He turned around to me, this was 18, and he just went, right, Josh, I'm going to give you some money. Can you go out and deliver some rugby sessions in the area? And that's maybe about 700 quid. But he went, there's some money, go out and teach rugby. And this was someone who's never done coaching. I've done a little bit, here and there, helping out maybe. But this was like going into a school, different primary schools. I think it was a high school as well. Go out and get kids playing rugby. And we managed to get, I think it was about 4 or 5 kids back to the rugby club on our first kind of like school programs. And it was amazing. And I just seen that there was a gap, and I went, there needs to be more in schools, because every single school, they said that that's the first time they've ever had rugby on the curriculum. So I'm going, right, so the schools here in a rugby league area anyway that have never had any kind of rugby there's a gap there. So it was created overnight, and I just thought we need to do something about it. My cousin made the logo, which we've kept to this day. And we've kind of not looked back since, when I really look at it like that. And that seems a very, very long time ago. It feels like a distant memory. And actually, we filed to be a business the day before we went into COVID. Yeah, so it was really unlucky. But then at the same time, it gave us time to work everything out of how we were going to do it. I had a couple of meetings with some other successful business owners, and the main focus is, where you're going to make your money. And I was like, I don't know, but it looks cool and it sounds right. And yeah, from there it was just, we got into COVID, and we created the brand, we created the social media presence. We're doing all right social media wise. Facebook 2,500, Instagram 1,200 for a rugby business is decent. It's not bad. And we kind of put all our eggs in one basket with me at the time. And then once we came out of COVID, lucky for me, but unlucky for the game, the CRCs got made redundant. So the community rugby coaches with the RFU all got made redundant, which has left a massive, massive gap of now 4 years where no schools have had rugby. We're lucky in our county that the county backs us, so they gave us the partnership, and they gave us certain funding to be able to go and deliver and go into schools. But it's left a massive gap completely. Now schools there is schools, and we're not capable to do every single school in the county. But if you look at the country, it's going to be a lot of schools who have missed out on a lot of rugby, and a lot of kids playing rugby. So the idea is we work with every Lancashire rugby club. So there's 54 rugby clubs in the county, of which I think there's 38 that've got mini and junior sections. So we work predominantly with the mini and junior sections to help kids in the local area get to the rugby club and play in rugby. So we're going to the surrounding area, do school programs, and then filter the kids back into the club using the different resources that we've managed to work out and learn how to do it. So luckily enough, I had one of the CRCs, Paul Arnold. He actually told me how to approach it and how to do it. So he's gave me his advice, and we've replicated that, and that's working. And then we've started up three mini and junior sections as well within the county. So for us, it shows it works. For example, I'll use Sedge because this is where we're based. We did the local high school at the top and a primary school, and we did another high school as well for half a term. We got 44 kids into the rugby club. That is invaluable for some clubs. 44 kids, if with the subs, and it makes a massive difference. There's a rugby club we work very closely with called Aspel, which is in the heart of Wigan. Well, it's on the outskirts of Wigan, but towards Bolton. But it's rugby league area. It's heart of rugby league. When we first came in, and I wouldn't say this is all down to try. It's a snowball effect, and this is what we say to clubs: is we can get you 4 or 5, but then be expected to get another 5 and another 5 and another 5 because they'll tell the mates, parents tell parents, and then it's a snowball effect. When we started, they had one age group. When we came in, we did 2 years worth of doing all the local primary schools in the area. They've now got 175 kids at their mini and junior section. They had 1 when we started, and they've got every age group, bar from under 14s and 15s. They've got 2 breaks, and that's it. And I coach the under 16s, and it's like it does work. We might have only got 4 or 5 kids in, but it's that snowball effect, and you have to have the volunteers, and we know that there's not enough of them anyway. But it shows it works, and to see it working is really rewarding for me. And that's kind of how the business runs. And like I said before, my mum works for me. Well, works for the business. I don't like to say she works for me because she'll probably slap me. So, but she works for the business, and she gets the cause. We've got at one point we had seven coaches who were all aspiring rugby coaches who wanted to be a part of the process. We had people volunteering as well, which is even better. People from certain rugby clubs going out and delivering, and we help them deliver. And now we've got 4 coaches now who are all like subcontracted to try it to go out and deliver for us more or less full time. So it's good, it's working, and the numbers actually in Lancashire are pretty decent compared to the rest of the country. But that's down to the county really pushing it. We've got connections with Star Scheme, who have done a lot with Prem Rugby as well. So they fund us to go out and do sessions in the area to go into schools, and they can fund us. We've got the partnership with Luceds as well, the mental health charity. So I was down there last night in London for their next chapter launch, which was really good. And same again, small fish in a big pond, and you're looking around at all these different people. Got the rugby trainer in the corner. You've got I don't even think you've got 2 lads from Love Island. You're like, why am I here? But yeah, it's really cool. You've got them. So we're in partnership with them. We provide coaches for them for their Barbarian side, and then we're hoping to do some more stuff with them in schools as well, which is really exciting. But that's not been announced yet, so we'll have to just sit on that one. And then we've got Wooden Spoon. So we do a lot with Wooden Spoon. They fund us to go out and do SENS and do our mixed ability festivals. And then we've got IMAS, International Mixed Ability of Sport, and we're the only organisation in the country to have this amazing accreditation for us to actually set mixed ability teams up and be able to do it. And like I said, I just sit there sometimes and go, what next? Where can we go with this? What can we do? And I'm always trying to think of new ideas. But in this such a short amount of time, it's good to see something working that I'm really passionate about, getting kids playing rugby. It's brilliant.
Yeah, amazing, mate. I mean, you describe yourself as an entrepreneur, and that is so clear. Like, clearly, you've got ideas coming everywhere. You're building partnerships left, right, and centre, which is fantastic. And as you said at the end there, all with the aim of getting more kids playing rugby.
Yeah.
The question I want to know is what's the feedback from the schools been like?
Really good, really good. We're quite fortunate, really, that most of the schools that we go in and deliver, they want us back in. So it's been like a nice circle where they go, oh, we'll book you in next year. We've just had confirmation from one school that we did, I think it was a year and a half ago, and they booked in and said, can we have you and do year 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s? This was like a year and a half ago, and I think it's getting in there because there is a stigma around rugby. which I'll probably go on to about T1. So you've probably been hearing about it. I don't know if you heard a bit about what T1 is, but we're hoping to do a lot more of T1, of going into schools and teaching that. So there is a stigma around contact, and they don't like the contact element, which is fine. Completely get it. And it's, you know, I laughed really with some PE teachers when they came out and said they want to do tackling. They're like, oh, we'll go and do T1, which is non-contact rugby, but they want to do contact as well. And you're like, if this kid was in maths, you're not going to let them tackle someone else in the maths session kind of thing, but then they're happy to do it in a PE session, which is always bizarre. But yeah, that's probably the stigma is around the contact side. And that's the difficult bit about breaking down that barrier. Once we've broken that down and go, no, rugby is a contact game. The whole purpose, though, is it's an evasion game. The point is to not get tackled. They think it's about getting tackled. You have to get tackled. Well, yeah, once you start progressing up the level, yeah, but it is at its heart, it's an evasion game. We'll be very quick to play bulldog with the kids, but when it comes to actual rugby and they add a rugby ball in, then they go, oh no, you can't do this because it's contact, and you're like, stop there, strip it back. This is what it is, and that's the main thing. But once we get into a school, we've got quite high success rate of keeping that school booked in. We've still got a primary school from the very an after school called the primary school that we've still got when I first started the business, and that's 5 years. We've got that. We've had 5 years.
Let's talk about the T1 a little bit more, because this is an RFU designed touch game, if I'm correct. So
yep.
Could you describe it in a little bit more detail, and
yes.
why the RFU think it's important to do it?
So it's backed by the RFU. It's actually a World Rugby push game. They've designed it. It's as close as rugby as you can get without it just being tag rugby. So it's still got a line out, it's still got a scrum, but it's uncontested, and it's still got a basics of a ruck that involves people getting involved with the ruck, but it's not contact. So it still kind of sucks in the defenders, meaning there's going to be space on the outsides. The beauty of T1, which I'm going to sound like I'm reading off a thing here, but the beauty of T1 is it can be played by anybody, any age, any gender, any ability. It's literally the low, how would I say it the nicest way? It's the lowest form of rugby possible that you can play that doesn't require loads of skill, but it still looks like rugby.
Yeah.
So when we're going into schools, we can bring T1 in to have these components of what rugby union should look like without it just looking like touch rugby as the Rugby League side, or like the World Touch thing, World Touch regulations. So you can still have your line out, which then people associate. You still got to throw it in. Yeah, it's not contested, but you still can throw it in, so it still looks like what it should be. So they're hoping, and this is where I might have to check on this if I'm allowed to say this, but it'll be okay. We're hoping that it's going to progress it into clubs to have their own T1 section, to be able to have that and clubs to buy into that. If that's going to be the case, then there is going to be more volunteers. We're looking to maybe start one here at Sedgley to have its own T1, because we know, well, especially as try it, I've noticed that a lot of clubs have their own touch team. So out of rugby union teams, we've got touch, which is a completely different sport. So if we can then have T1 as this game, it hopefully that means that more people from the rugby union world will get involved with it. Not it's just this separate people of, oh, he's quick and he can catch a ball and can just run around someone. It requires skill. It requires the passing. It still requires the decision making. It can be played on tarmac thing because it's touch. It can be played on grass. It can be played in a hall. I was going to say car park then, but I don't do it on a car park. But it can be played anywhere. That's the point of it. And the best way to kind of, for someone who doesn't know what it is, it's the five-a-side version of what rugby should be.
Right. Okay. And it sounds to me as well like if somebody is potentially interested in playing full contact rugby at some point, it sounds like a very good starting place for them to sort of understand how the game works, where you move, kind of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So hopefully that's best case scenario, that they do want to progress on and go and play contact, but we're finding that more people don't want the contact side, and want more of touch and then them skills that are associated with the evasion side and that kind of them components. So hopefully it does. I don't know if there'll be as much uptake going into contact once they're in T1. And that's only because these are people who probably either have never really played the sport before, so coming in at a very basic level, who are nervous and scared about the contact side. So then that kind of then gives it its own entity and going, well, you could be T1 players. But it's all down to the clubs and how they buy in. There has been it's only just being rolled out. So we've got school rugby managers throughout the country who are starting to roll this out. It's all dependent on, one, the schools wanting it, getting into the schools. So the second, demonstrating and displaying what T1 should be, and then hopefully then setting up events that are then going to lead into, well, the World Cup this year for the Women's World Cup, but then also the timing should be perfect for then clubs to be able to set up their own T1 teams. So then if, for example, you've got a third team who doesn't want to do contact anymore because his wife's having a go at him because he's getting broken nose every Saturday, there's still this option for them. So that's how it should be. It's just all a waiting game to see if it's going to really take off. I personally believe, I've seen it played. I think it's exciting. I actually do it as it shouldn't be as it's warm up. It shouldn't be like it's a game of touch to start a training session up. It should be its own thing. But I played it with quite a few of my lads from my 16s. I've done it with the Lambs as well. I've done it in schools. It's replicable everywhere. So I think if everyone sees what it should look like, there's a lot of positivity around it. It's just it's this coming back to the thing, if everyone buys in and people need to change with the times.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned a sort of reticence there about potentially some people not wanting to do the contact and all that kind of stuff. But I understand you've had an experience today that was pretty much the opposite of that with a girls.
Yes. Yeah. I had I was just talking to you about it before we got on it. I was like, I had a year 9 girls team, year 9 girls session, and they've been more wanted to do touch. This is in like the heart of Manchester as well, and they were like, we just want to do touch, and the teachers are very a bit apprehensive to go, I don't know if they want to do contact. So I always go into every session with, I like to, well, at the end of the day, it's their session. I don't want them to do something they're not going to enjoy. So, like, for example, I had a session before and they were like, we just want to play games and we want to, have a bit of a laugh. So I did some like fun team building and then built it into some rugby games. I want them to enjoy the experience. And then this second class came and they went, can we do tackling today? And I went, it's about 20 year 9 girls. I went, yeah, I can do. Yeah, if you really want to. So I went through the basics. And luckily there was 2 who already played-ish, or they used to play. So I used them as the demonstration of how to tackle. And that was, so once we've kind of gone through the Tower of Power, Ring of Steel, cheek to cheek, all the basics of really thing, sent them off, let them go into it, and they all got it. They were really good. And we went into a little bit of a game. I said, I call it Barbarians. So it's about just kind of looking to try and tackle someone. And if they go down, it's a turnover. The other team gets the ball. No ruck. Really simple, watered down version. Not even bothered if they throw it forward. It's more that go forward and running with the ball. And the first tackle, this was a girl about 6'2", this girl about 5'6", maybe even smaller. Girl with a 5 foot thing, she's got the ball, and this girl just came straight through and absolutely cleaned her out. And I just stood there going, oh no, please don't cry. Please don't get hurt. I don't know what's happened here. Oh no. And both of them stood up and laughing and they were loving it. And for me, yeah, you might have had a crying and that's not good. And maybe the teachers don't want the contact, but they both loved it. And I know that we've got a few girls off that who have gone down to one of the local rugby clubs as well, because they turned up last week. And that's, to me, is the beauty of it. But if we've got this T1, we've also got another alternative to rugby in schools.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, let's move on to the mixed ability stuff, because I don't really know too much about this. So just explain to me exactly what mixed ability rugby is and how you've got this ability now to set these teams up.
Yes, so mixed ability rugby it's fantastic to watch. So I do recommend anyone who is listening to go have a watch of it. It's any ability, either physical disabilities, it could be people it could be elderly, it could be anyone with neurological disabilities. It's literally a game for all. It can be adapted to any disability. The only one thing we don't say is for wheelchair users, and the only issue is because if you've got someone on a wheelchair to go and tackle, there's a wheelchair, it's dangerous for everyone. So the whole purpose is to try and make a game of rugby look as much as a game of rugby without any restrictions if possible. The only things that are changed is the scrum. So it's uncontested scrum, but it'll be contested lineouts. It could be full tackle. It could be someone wearing a bib, meaning they can't be tackled. They can only be tagged. It could be different shorts. It's really adaptable to anyone playing it. I've played mixed ability in the games. You could literally have someone playing Premiership to someone who's never touched a rugby ball before, and it's all about inclusivity with it. So we've got in our county, we've got Bolton Buccaneers. So, for example, there's a lad on there with Down syndrome. There's someone who's deaf. There's someone who's partially blind. We've got someone. There's another team, and he's got cerebral palsy. It's such a range of disabilities. I know that there's someone from my local rugby club. I call him Grandad. He means a lot to me, but he's not actually my granddad, but he more or less is. He's a little bit older, so he could play mixed ability. It's just so open for everyone. So we run a mixed ability festival. This year it's on the 25th of May. Last year we had over 10 teams enter for the mixed ability, so 10 different mixed ability sides. And we had 5 junior mixed ability sides and then 5 adult ones. So it can be junior, split off junior, and then adult. And it's just absolutely amazing. We had grown men crying on the side of the pitch watching these games. We had the RFU, the RFU president from last year come down and watch, and even he said that this is amazing, and it hasn't really been pushed by the RFU as much as what I would love it to be, but it's a cycle of what comes in and what goes out. So it's always, this year it's all about women's rugby because of the World Cup, and then maybe next year we might have a chance of it being mixed ability. With this accreditation with IMAS, it means that we can go and help teams set up and go and deliver sessions as well in community groups, schools, SENS tournaments, SENS schools, to be able to go and deliver this to basically set up these teams really. And it's probably one of our bread and butter now. It is amazing to be a part of it and to watching it and playing it. I know quite a few of my coaches who for try it have played in it as well, and it takes a certain someone to play in it. So you've got the dramatics. I don't know if you've ever seen you have a kid playing touch and then they make that really dramatic dive to try and get him and they miss him and the kid scores and it feels like the World Cup. It's the same for these people, and just to see smiles on faces. We took quite a few up to Newcastle versus Sale, and we took a full coach of all the different Lancashire teams, all the different Lancashire mixed ability teams. They've never had that kind of day out, going up to Newcastle to watch Sale versus Newcastle, and we played before the game and went on the pitch at half time. And it's not to show off and go, look how inclusive we are. It's a thing of going, it's just brilliant to be a part of, and watching it is just next to nothing. It's brilliant.
Mate, that sounds so incredibly rewarding.
It really is. It really is. And then we do the stuff with the Wooden Spoon as well, and they be able to they fund us do like a SENS tournament in Liverpool as well, on the Merseyside area. And same again, we had about 120 kids from all different SENS schools playing rugby, and you just sit back and you go, that's what rugby's about. It's not about, well, no, it is to me, about England winning the Six Nations. Yeah, I want to see that. Don't know if it's going to happen, but we want to see that. But it's the fact of going, that at its core is what rugby's about. And I think people miss that. And I think that's why people need to engage with mixed ability a little bit more, because it gives you the reason of why you should have a rugby ball in your hand. Yeah,
nice, beautiful. And as if you aren't doing enough already, you also run a sevens team under the same banner as well. Tell me about the sevens setup. Why did that get started, and what's it there to achieve?
Yeah, Yeah, I know. I don't sleep. That's the thing. I don't sleep. With the sevens, so we started it. I think it was just 2 years after we started the business. So it was as fully as COVID was kind of like settling down, and we got to summer. And we do our rugby camps. We do like the development days, rugby camps, workshops. It's a lot of admin. So I thought once we get to summer, we could do one rugby camp and then we can just do sevens. And I thought, one, it'd be cool to get the brand out there. And then two, I just thought I could get quite a lot of friends in and kind of go with that and get players in who I know would have done a good job. And in like the first season, I got some really, really good players, like two of which are playing Championship, two are playing Nat 1, one of the lads is playing Championship in Rugby League. Like, these are high caliber of players, and we did okay. We won our own. We do our own tournament. We won that, and then the second year, we went to Chester, and then we just didn't have the click. I don't know. Something just fell apart a little bit, and I thought, right, let me think about how we want to do this. So what we've changed it into now is aspire, similar to like the Lambs kind of pathway, is players who have not had the opportunity to play. So we've got players playing from level 6 up to level 8, but who are genuinely good players, but they've just never progressed or they've never been picked up. And we give them opportunities to go and play decent level of sevens against some elite sides. So we played against the 70s at Chester this year, who are the feeder to the French national squad. Like, we've got players like that. We've teams like the Rascals who have gone to Dubai. Who else have we played? The Lions, who are quite big, who are really big in the sevens world. And yeah, I just want to give young players, the opportunity to play at that level. So most of the ages, so we did South Island sevens. I think the youngest was 18 and the oldest was 20. And that's kind of how we've done it. And so it's about young players having an opportunity to go and play against these top teams. And we do it very different with Try It. So like, that's our kit. Really out there. That one there you go. Really out there, really different. And it's just about making rugby as fun as possible. We've had players do American football passes across the pitch. It's complete freedom to play. This year we won Chester, got to the semi-finals of Leeds, won the play in South Island Sevens, got to the final of our own tournament with like some really top teams. The year before we beat Jamaica, and it's like, how's this happening? And that to me is what it's about. It should be giving them opportunities. I could go and get a bunch of Championship, maybe Nat 1 players. Are they going to do a good job? Yeah, because they're good players, but we're not progressing anything there. Let's get some younger players and then push them through. So that's how we've done it. And even small things like with the kit, it's designed by my two nephews. They literally, from detail, not from the stitching, because they didn't actually make it. I didn't trap them in a room and say, right, crack on making some kit. But they got the colouring book out, and they literally, from every single detail, that's what they made, and we merged it together, and that's our kit. And we're very different of how we approach things, but I think it's positive, and I think more people need to be more positive.
Yeah. So tell me, how do you go out and identify these players? How do you find them?
So we've got great question. We normally it's from people recommending. So players who have played previously, they go, oh, they're quite a good player to come and play for you, or they might get in touch. We've had quite a few who've just messaged me directly and said, is there any chance I could come play some sevens? Sevens is quite a small pool of people where everyone knows each other. So it could just be a lad who's not been picked for one team can come play for me, and then works. But I've had players who played for me 1 week and then gone play for someone else, and we played against them the week after. It's just sevens. That's what happens. So it's normally from people recommending, or they just turn up somehow. They literally just we've got a group chat of about 70 players, and then they will just put it in and go availability, bosh, done, and then they'll book it in. But really, what we're trying to do is we've got a junior sevens tournament, which is May 17th and 18th. So we've also got a ladies team as well. But that was just more for players who want to play, and it is quite difficult, the ladies sevens. But we've now got the 17th and 18th of May, which is a junior sevens tournament. So we've got 34 teams registered over the 2 days for under 12s, 14s, 16s girls, and then 14s, 15s, 16s boys at Bolton Rugby Union. And the idea is them 16s next year they'll be eligible to come start training with us and maybe get into that 7 side. So we're going to be using that as kind of a, not a pathway, because I don't want it to be named as a pathway, but more of a if you want to come and play some decent rugby, you know, get involved. We're going to do some training days, and if you want to, you're more than welcome to be involved with it. And that's how we're going to do it. And then the reason why we do the smaller ages is just kind of giving opportunity in the area just to play some extra rugby, because we've had loads of rugby cancelled because of the weather. So it's just something at the end of the season to be able to play.
Yeah, fantastic, amazing. Now there's so much that I feel like we might have missed something. Is there anything else that we haven't spoken about that you wanted to say?
I don't know. My head is mashed. I can't even think. I think I've more or less covered everything, really. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Gareth, anything else? No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, in that case, we will move on to the stash questions, Josh.
Oh, yes.
So this, everyone loves a bit of stash. Clearly, you do. You've got it all up on your wall behind you.
Love stash.
So what is your favourite kit of all time? So this could be any team from any era.
Right. I am going to go back onto an answer I did say before, but I have to go with the Lambs kit. If I had one, pass us that, Gareth. Pass us the kit. I'll have to show you it because it is beautiful. This is what we play. Really bright pink. That's one of mine for me when we went on tour. Got it made into a pillow. But I have to go with the Lambs kit. It's so out there, so different, and everyone identifies us as the boys in pink. So I played in it on Sunday. Not that one, obviously, but it's a pillow. But the kit is so bright and out there, and then you just have players going, oh, that's bright. And yeah, they have to be that because it fits perfectly of what the philosophy, bright, throw the ball around. You know, I have to go with that one. That has to be my favourite kit. Yeah, good choice. Okay, what about awful kits? Are there any kits out there at the moment that just make you want to throw up? I was trying to think about this before, and the only thing that could come to my head was there used to be, I think there might have been a Premiership club as well that had the same issue, but the only one that's come to my head is it was a Saints kit, so not Northampton Saints, it was St Helens, so a rugby league team. And I'm a big thing about sponsors, so the sponsors need to look nice. So there has been sponsors who've gone, oh, can we sponsor your kit? And I'm like, okay, we'll do a sleeve or something, you know. And I'm like, I don't know. But there was a sponsor, and on the shorts, I don't know what the word was supposed to be, but there was just an O just right in the middle of the shorts on the back. So you're going, right, that is really bad branding. Like, you would think about not to have that O on the back kind of thing. So it was one of them I'd have to go with. So it's not the kit itself, but just in terms of sponsors, I can't remember what it was, but it was a Saints kit, but it was probably like 2015. And I remember watching Rugby League then and going, yeah, that's not good. That's not good. Yeah, I think the top as well had home and bargains on the front. I'm like, oh no, not home and bargains. Why do we have to have that on there? But yeah, that came to mind straight away when I was thinking of the question.
Okay, good. And what last one then? What about favourite stash that you've received? So this could be something that you've earned as a player or somebody's gifted to you.
Yeah, I'd probably say the very first try it kit that we got made, because I got it through as a freebie when I first started, and he did me a big favour, one of my mates. And the first day when it came all in the packaging, so this was the first bit of kit that I got for the business, and when I got it through, and it was a nice kit. The lady's actually playing it now, and it's like called paint splatter blue, and it just looked really cool and trendy. And I remember going, that's like the icing on the cake. I was like, it's coming together kind of thing. And that was kind of the first moment I was like, I'm actually doing something right here. So I'd probably go with that one. Or just any kind of stash. There's nothing better than stash day, really, is there? There's nothing better than stash day, unless it's like a bad sponsor, and you're not a bad sponsor, a bad manufacturer, and you're going, oh, it's going to be a bit tight, this kit, or
yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably say
baggy around the arms and tight around the tummy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's always that for me. Really really loose around the arms, and then
Okay. we'll bring this to a close now, Josh. It's been brilliant fun, and you're doing amazing things up there. Is there anything sort of else you want to say? Any sort of closing thoughts?
Just, I know that there's a lot of negativities at the moment, and I know up and down the country there's a lot of people who are questioning decisions, but I think it's looking at the organisations like yourself, like Luced's, Eve at Wooden Spoon, IMAS, all the ones I've kind of listed off, and just think that for every negative comment that everyone says, there's always going to be someone who's doing something good in the world, and doing something good in the rugby world especially. That's it.
Fantastic, mate. And if people want to get hold of you to talk about any of the wonderful things that you're doing, probably want to get some advice as well, I should think, about what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Probably through our social media. So Try It Rugby. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter or X, and TikTok now. So we're on TikTok as well. Or through our email, it's tryitrugby. No, it's not. That's the old one. tryitrugby@hotmail.com. Or through the website. We've got loads of different ways. Yeah, always open for a phone call or a message. And definitely, if there's anyone got any advice, then I'd love to help out.
Yeah, good man. Absolutely fantastic. For you guys listening at home, I'm going to link everything that Josh has just mentioned there, plus a load of other stuff I should think as well. There's been so much in this episode down there. So you can find it at one place, and that's amateurrugbypodcast.com. Josh, thank you so much for your time today, mate. You're doing wonderful things.
No problem at all. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, there he goes. I mean, genuinely, fingers in so many pies, doing so many brilliant things to help people into rugby and to enjoy their rugby in all kinds of different ways. Just amazing stuff, amazing stuff. Okay, and as we're recording now, we are right, well, it says it on the board behind me there, other way, there. We are just coming into the Six Nations, and there is loads of content over on the YouTube channel right now. Loads of great conversations going on in the comments section as well. We're having a great time. So come and join us on YouTube. That's the Amateur Rugby Podcast channel over there. But if you've enjoyed this podcast, then you can do all the social media stuff. You can like, follow, share, all that stuff. But what I'd really like is if you mention it to someone in person the next time you're down your local rugby club. But until then, get out and play.